Hare Krishna, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. First we chant the Marva. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jayo Gopinath Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hari Vidai Korpramanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayana Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayanti Hare.
Yoga Mudire.
Nastapraya Svapatreshu.
Nashtaprayashva Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki.
So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, which is entitled Prescribed Duties for Mankind. And the chapter is still 12, entitled Vritrasura's Glorious Death. And today we have two verses, 14 and 15. 14 doesn't have a purport, so we concentrate on 15. I just read the 14 Sanskrit and translation myself. Tasmat akirti yashasori jaya pajayayorapi samasyat sukha dukkhabhyam mrityu jivitayos tatha. Translation. Since everything is dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead, one should be equipoised in fame and defamation, victory and defeat, life and death. In their effects, represented as happiness and distress, one should maintain oneself in equilibrium without anxiety. And text 15 we read together. Sattvam rajastama iti
Sattvam Rajastamaiti.
prakriternaatmano gunaha
Prakritirnatmano gunaha.
tatra sakshinam atmanam
Tatra Sakshina Atmanam.
yo vedasana padhyate.
Yo Vedasana Bhadyate.
Sattvam rajastama iti
Sattvam Rajastamaiti.
prakriternaatmano gunaha
Prakritirnatmano gunaha.
tatra sakshinam atmanam
Tatra Sakshina Atmanam.
yo vedasana padhyate.
Yo Vedasana Bhadyate. Sattvam Rajastamaiti.
Sattvam rajastama iti
Prakritirnatmano gunaha.
prakriternaatmano gunaha
Tatra Sakshina Atmanam.
tatra saksina atmanam
Yo Vedasana Bhadyate.
yo vedasana padhyate. Word for word translation. Sattvam,
Sattvam,
the mode of goodness.
the mode of goodness.
Rajaha,
Rajaha,
the mode of passion.
the mode of passion.
Tamaha,
Tamaha,
the mode of ignorance.
the mode of ignorance.
Iti,
Iti,
thus.
thus.
Prakrite,
Prakrite,
of the material nature.
of the material nature.
Na,
Na,
not.
not.
Atmanam,
Atmanam,
Atmanaha,
Atmanaha,
of the spirit soul.
of the spirit soul.
Gunaha,
Gunaha,
the qualities.
the quality.
Tatra,
Tatra,
in such position.
in such position.
Sakshinam,
Sakshinam,
an observer.
observer.
Atmanam,
Atmanam,
the self.
the self.
Yaha,
Yaha,
anyone who.
anyone who.
Veda,
Veda,
knows.
knows.
Saha,
Saha,
he.
he.
Na,
Na,
not.
na.
Bhatyate,
Bhadyate,
is bound.
is bound.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who knows that the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are not qualities of the soul, but qualities of material nature, and who knows that the pure soul is simply an observer of the actions and reactions of these qualities, should be understood to be a liberated person. He is not bound by these qualities. Purport. As the Lord explains in Bhagavad Gita 18.54, Brahmabhuta prasannatma nasochati nakangshati samasarveshu bhuteshu matbhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. When one attains self-realization, the Brahmabhuta stage, one knows that whatever happens during his life is due to the contamination of the modes of material nature. The living being, the pure soul, has nothing to do with these modes. In the midst of the hurricane of the material world, everything changes very quickly. But if one remains silent and simply observes the actions and reactions of the hurricane, he is understood to be liberated. The real qualification of the liberated soul is that he remains Krishna conscious, undisturbed by the actions and reactions of the material energy. Such a liberated person is always jubilant. He never laments or aspires for anything, since everything is supplied by the Supreme Lord. The living entity, being fully dependent on him, should not protest or accept anything in terms of his personal sense gratification. Rather, he should receive everything as the mercy of the Lord and remain steady in all circumstances. Sattvam rajastama iti prakritirnatmano guna tatra sakshinam atmanam yovedasanabhadyate. One who knows that the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are not qualities of the soul, but qualities of material nature, and who knows that the pure soul is simply an observer of the actions and reactions of these qualities, should be understood to be a liberated person. He is not bound by these qualities. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanasmakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Madhobistam Stadam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dhala Swagadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaparakamam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Chatam Sankaragamatam Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahitam Shri Sakam Tamscha Tvam Vachalam Padmam Yat Kripatam Maham Shri Gurundena Karanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Three modes of material nature. Generally, human beings, we are born here in a influence of three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And this is very elaborately discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto by Kapila Muni. how how the material creation is formed from these three modes of material nature. The Supreme Lord or Mahavishnu cleanses the summum bonum of material energy, and then it becomes alive, and then there are different material elements like a false ego, especially as mentioned, false ego in connection with the different modes, different of these three modes. A false ego in connection with the mode of goodness, what comes out?
Each mind.
Yes, it's the mind. And false ego in connection with the mode of passion,
Intelligence.
intelligence, yes. and false ego in connection with all of ignorance that comes,
Senses.
yeah, the senses, gross senses and sense objects, all these other things which we are dealing with here in the material world. So, being in the bodily conception of life is in the mode of ignorance. That we think that we are these bodies, and well, I tried to explain one time to one person that we are not these bodies, and the person claimed that we are these bodies because the body does everything. Uh, the desire is there in a very subtle form inside the body, and on the surface level, the body uh, does things, but that is said prakriti kriyamana nigunai karmani sarva sahankari vimudhatma kartaham iti manyata. This is also connected that because of the influence of false ego, the soul thinks himself the doer of activities which are actually performed by the three modes of material nature. And material nature, as we already went through, material nature means the material elements of our existence, the mind, intelligence, and gross material elements, um, uh, ether, fire, ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Anyway, these are discussed by Kapila Muni. And just like in these verses, Vritrasura is describing uh, how one should become equipoised in fame, defamation, victory and defeat, life and death. So these are two contrasts, they are the dualities of material existence. Like a very famous verse which Prabhupada quotes very often, Purusa Prakriti Stohi Pukta Prakriti Jangna Karana Guna Sangasya Sad Asati Chandra. So the living entity takes birth after birth in the material world and gets attracted to different to different combinations of this material nature. Somebody likes to study law, somebody likes to solve difficult mathematical problems, somebody likes to be a doctor, somebody likes to fix motorbikes, somebody likes to learn music, uh, somebody likes to keep things clean, being cleaner. Well, we know one cleaner who is expert in cleaning, but this person's own life is a little bit messy. Um, so, even though you are sometimes very expert in doing things as a profession, then your own life may not be as very well versed in the same way. Um, so we get attracted to different modes of material nature, and therefore we are life after life become attracted. Uh, oh, tired of doing this particular thing. Let me try something else, and we get interest in some other kind of activity in this material world. Then we pursue towards that activity. We may not have skills for that particular activity, but because the desire is there, according to our pious activities, Krishna may grant those skills in the next life. Well, Prabhupada said that Ravi Shankar, for example, because he was very expert sitar player, that he had been playing sitar for many lifetimes. So he has developed that skill. Um, because we are in such a way, we are attracted to these different kinds of modes of nature. So we also experience good and bad uh, in these particular modes. Whatever gives service to the modes of nature that I'm attracted to, that is favorable, and whatever doesn't give and doesn't serve very well to these particular modes, then that is considered, I consider bad, and I suffer for it if it comes. But liberated person is above these kind of dualities and their effects. Like Krishna says, very famous, very prominent, very suitable verse in this connection. Traigunya Visaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhava Arjuna Nirvandho Nityada Sarvasto Niryogaksema Atmavan. So the Vedas deal mainly on the subject matter of three modes of material nature, rise above these three modes of material nature and become free from anxiety of better translation, anxiety of gain and safety, anxiety of gain and safety. uh, Always be connected to yoga and be established in yourself, something like that. So, so here we can see how Vritrasura is here being established in the self. He knows the goal of material existence, the ultimate goal, being fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore good and bad or these dualities, they don't apply to him anymore. He doesn't care about them. So in this way, he is in a liberated platform, and he's not tossed around by the material waves or waves of material modes of nature. And we can read elaborately more about the tossing of the three modes of material nature from the fifth canto, where Charabharata is describing this actual nature of this material world. Um, well, there are many different things how material world is actually giving trouble, giving problems for us, especially if we are identifying ourselves with that particular position that we have in a material world or material existence. Mm. Well, many of those refer to especially family life. Uh, but we can see, in an ordinary business life, sometimes we see movies about somebody, some group of youngsters starting to make business together, starting to see what's there to make money of, and then they might end up in a very hostile relationship with each other. So they become enemies to themselves because materialistic life, as it's so. Actually, when I went to school, I had an English book. When we were studying English, even there was the statement that I forgot exactly, but usually it was something like usually people think that whatever good happens to me is because of my own clever action, and whatever bad happens to me is the evil action of other people. So such a materialistic person doesn't see the karma like actions and reactions uh, of these qualities of three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and how he's being tossed here and there by these waves of the modes. But then the transcendentalists sees that these are simply actions and reactions of the modes of material nature, and I might have done something in the past, and this person who is giving me problems is simply an agent of my own misdeeds in the past. So this is transcendentalist, like Hare Krishna Prabhu yesterday quoted this famous verse, Tattenu kampam suchamiksamano, punjanaya atma kritam vipakam, dekvat vapurvi viranam namaste yo, chivetayo mukti sadaya bhak. And that's by Lord Brahma in the 14th chapter of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that if one earnestly uh, takes on himself whatever action comes and understand that it's because of his misdeeds, but still offers respectful obeisances unto me or unto the Supreme Lord. Such a person is eligible for liberation. Mm. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse, Brahmabhuta prasannatmana satchatvina kamshati samasarvesu bhutesu madhvatim lapate param. The one who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. Um, so if we transcend the three modes of material nature, um, we can come fully joyful because being attached to material, three modes of material nature means that we are attached to something, which is asat, which is temporary, because spirit soul cannot be happy. Yeah, I mean, eternal spirit soul cannot be happy with temporary arrangements of the material world. The, and because in this material, so in this material nature, whatever we gain, we can understand it is simply temporary. And as soon as we gain something, we also gain the fear that when are we going to lose it? It's time, question of time. But then we can remember that Krishna is time. Krishna says, "I am time." So, so everything coming from outside the body, even the body itself, it's temporary. Old age doesn't come alone. So. There has been a time in the past when I was able to read Bhagavatam from sitting here and without classes. I may be able to do it now as well, but it's a little blurry. So these classes help a lot. Um, and Prabhupada also mentions, like in Jadaparada, material world, Jadaparada's explanations, material world is compared to be like a dark forest. And here Prabhupada mentions it's like a hurricane. Um, in the midst of the hurricane of the material world, everything changes very quickly. But if one remains silent and simply observes the actions and reactions of the hurricane, he is understood to be liberated. Well, we also actually should be like a hurricane matter of Krishna's pure Krishna's loving devotional service.
Hmm.
That's why we are called a movement. We are always on the move. And from that platform, we can observe the hurricane kind of changes of the material existence. Oh, yeah, so we are very often talking about the lotus feet of the Lord or lotus feet of the spiritual master. And this is very much suitable. We are supposed to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Lotus means it's a flower which takes birth inside the water. So we can compare this like a water of material ocean, a material ocean of material existence. And so lotus is born inside the water and it's closed. But when it grows and grows and grows and comes on the surface of the water, then it opens. And so as long as lotus is enough water, we can compare it to us. It's like an analogical description of our spiritual development. When we are tossed by the modes of material nature, in a hurricane kind of material existence by the three modes of material nature, then we are considered to be like a undeveloped lotus inside the water. Water is tossing the lotus flower inside the water. Water is very strong, strong element. But as soon as the lotus has grown on the top of the water level and it opens, then that's compared to the person who is on the liberated state from the existence of material nature. And it is described that even if a drop of water is coming on a lotus petal, it doesn't get sucked in the lotus petal because of the waxy surface. So the spiritual master in this way, even though he is in the material world, seemingly in the material world, the material world doesn't affect on him. But he can rather use the material world in the best possible way for everybody's spiritual benefit, and therefore spiritualize the material energy. Just like we put an iron rod in the fire, soon enough the iron rod gets fiery qualities. What else was here? So in material world there are some excuse me. In the material world there is actions and reactions, and there is this great actor. Most people know him nowadays, Will Smith, Man in Black. He's also like a black-bodied American actor. And in one one interview, he said that like his mother had described him, he had given him a very good advice of life. That you should be careful how you treat people when you are going up, because you might need their help when you are going down. And so we need to be, if we are in the material world, we need to be also a little bit careful about the reactions, uh, what we want to, I mean, reactions of our own activities, and we are going to get what we deserve. Uh, well, on the other hand, if Krishna favors somebody, he will take away all his possessions and all his friends and I mean when Krishna takes away somebody's possession, Krishna, then the relatives and so-called friends they abandon such a person, and then gets hardship after hardship, and he has no other alternative than to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Uh, And therefore, I mean, Prabhupada, he experienced this in his own life. Uh, his wife wasn't very favorable to his preaching mission while he was, Prabhupada was doing his business and preaching at the same time. And then at the same time, some workers stole all his property from the business. So he kind of lost it all. And then he came upon this particular verse, 10.88.8. And Prabhupada was just laughing. So that was also an example how he was liberated from the influence of material energy. And he was, he says here, such a liberated person is always jubilant, and he never laments or aspires for anything. Um, well, this definitely means for one's own personal sense enjoyment, but he can accept everything in the service of the Lord without attachment. That's Yukta Vairagya. Um, If Krishna so desires, we can use different things in the service of the Lord, and then benefit everybody, so that everybody can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's the purpose of our existence in this moment, to give everybody a chance to hear and chant the holy names of the Lord. Uh, and therefore we are not interested in accepting anything in terms of our own personal sense gratification, but we should receive everything as the mercy of the Lord, and remain steady in all circumstances in devotional service. Hare Krishna. I think I can end there. If there are any questions or comments.
The verse of purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions how one should live free from anxiety by being detached, both from happiness and distress. So happiness can also cause anxiety, apparently. It's one sense harder to be free from anxiety, from happiness. But also happiness causes agitation, become become enlightened, become you know, happy on a material platform. So
Yeah, that's an important thing you mentioned. Become happy on a material platform. Yeah, yeah. Material happiness means it's a temporary arrangement by the modes of material nature due to our previous bios action. But these bios actions, they are sometimes referred to as our bank account. If we are living our pious reactions uh, more than we are gaining more pious results, then as there's a Sanskrit word it describes how uh, after all kinds of joy there will be misery, and after misery there will be joy. So this is going back and forth in the material nature. But it is always in the material world, it is focused on our personal sense enjoyment. Whereas in the spiritual world, we also have happiness and misery.
misery,
But misery is equal to happiness,
misery is
equal to happiness in the
uh-huh.
spiritual platform. Like for example, the gopis, they were very miserable when Krishna left their association, but that actually intensifies their love for Krishna. Mm. If we keep somehow or another Krishna in the center, then there is no meaning of misery. Seemingly being miserable, but if we are completely Krishna consciousness, at the same time, in Krishna consciousness, we become fully jubilant, fully joyful, even in the midst of that misery.
Could you give some insights into that psychology, how it's possible in the midst of misery be still joyful? Like materialistic person, like what are you you're contradicting yourself? What are you saying? And how can devotees be?
Well, there might be many examples, but for example, um, like a book distributor, he might confront material miseries in material sense. He tries to offer books to people on the street, and they are not interested. They just walk by. Some may give some bad words. Uh, but if that distributor is concentrated on Krishna, then that seemingly miserable condition is not so miserable anymore. It's just like the gopis, like Narada Muni was sent forth by Krishna to get some healing agent for his headache. Krishna said that he had a headache and he needed some dust of his devotees' lotus feet. Of dust from his devotees' feet. And then he went to some brahmanas, and they were quite ritualistic. And Narada Muni made this suggestion: okay, you are worshipping Krishna, so you can give your dust from your feet to cure Krishna's headache. And the brahmana said, no, no, we cannot do that. Otherwise, we go to hell. Then Narada Muni went to the gopis and And gopis were very eager. Take as much as you want. We will give everything for Krishna. Uh, and Narada Muni asked precise,
Don't you know you go to hell?
yeah, asked that, don't you know that you might be going to hell because of this? Gopis didn't care. They were only anxious to relieve Krishna's headache. Or, for example, like a death in this case, Ritarasura is dying. What is the death for materialist is like a mother cat is taking a mouse on her teeth, and that means death, cruel death for the mouse. But death for a Krishna conscious person is like that same cat mother uh, takes her kitten in her teeth. So he just carries the kitten from one place to another. Well, some examples. Anything else? If we no, then we can end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.